Swaddling, and I work with families of children 4 and younger to help you meet your individual sleep situation. So today we are talking about why it is great to swaddle your baby. Not all babies may enjoy being swaddled, but I have found that in all of my research and all of my work with families, most likely swaddling your baby is going to help them calm and return to center. So, one of the biggest reasons that swaddling is recommended is because it helps replicate that feeling of them being in the womb. So thinking about when they're inside and they're so nice and cozy, there isn't a ton of for them to reach out and stretch and move around. Sometimes once they come out into the world, they have a little bit too much space and it's a lot going on, and they're not able to regulate themselves to get themselves back into that nice comfortable position. So swaddling them or just holding them tight helps them to recreate that and to bring their nervous system down so they can get to calm and then to a sleep. Another reason that swaddling is super great is because it helps keep children on their back. We all know the Back to Sleep campaign that it is safest to put your baby on their back until they are at least 12 months old. Even if when they are older, they can get into their own sleep position on their side or on their belly, that's perfectly fine if they are able to do it, but we always want to be initially placing them on their back. So having a child that's swaddled will kind of prevent that accidental tipping and rolling that some newborns can be famous for. An additional reason is because it helps with that startle reflex. So every child is born with a reflex that as they're falling asleep, they do this kind of little shake that wakes them up. Having a baby that's swaddled is going to reduce all of that room that they have to do that, so that they are able to keep themselves nice and secure and wrapped up, so that they don't, that startle reflex in the swaddle isn't as big and able to wake them. And then one last thing that I want to mention about swaddles is that to be aware of what kind of swaddle that you're using. So there are the swaddles that you can buy that have the zipper and have the wraparound. There's other swaddles that just have the one piece of fabric, like a Love to Dream, if anyone is familiar with that doesn't have the wraparound feature. It just is a little bit of a tighter, like cocoon or a pod swaddle. And then there's also a traditional swaddle blanket where you would have a large piece of fabric and then you would fold it, wrap baby around in it. But my concern with some of those is that if your child is going to be left unsupervised in that kind of swaddle, then there is the potential for them to break loose of that swaddle and have those loose covers covering their face. So I know culturally there are some people that do prefer the swaddle blankets and are able to get a nice tight swaddle there, but just beware that that is something that could happen, that your baby may be able to break free from that swaddle, and then it would put them in a little bit more of a dangerous position. So I personally always recommend the swaddles that have the zipper and the wraparound, or the pod swaddle, so that there is no opportunity to have any loose covers. Swaddle transition, even though we're talking about how important the swaddle is, it's really important for the first about 8 weeks. After that point, you want to look into transitioning out of that swaddle, because if they are in a tight swaddle for a long period of time, like day and night, it can have an impact on their hip and leg development. We do want them to be able to move and explore and do all of those things as they're growing. So right around that 8 to 10 week mark is when you want to start that swaddle transition. So by 12 weeks, your child is completely out of the swaddle and they are moved into a sleep sack. During that time, there's a couple of different ways that you can do it depending on the age of your baby. You can do one arm out at a time. If they are over 12 weeks, then I would just kind of cold turkey and move them out, because the older that they get, the more there is a chance of them accidentally rolling and not being able to get themselves into a safe place once they do roll over. So if you have any questions about the swaddle transition, I'm going to put some supports down in the comments. I'm going to put a link to grab a free guide for transitioning out of the swaddle. So if you have any swaddle questions or concerns, pop them in the comments below. Have a wonderful rest of your day.